Saban Video proudly presents Funky Fables.
Long ago there lived a man whose family was quite poor, until he found a secret cave and opened up the door. He shouted, "Open sesame," and the rock just slipped away and opened up a treasure trove that made him rich that day. His name was Ali Baba. Ali Baba. He ran off with the gold and took the treasures from the robbers, and then he had to use his head to outwit 40 thieves. He made them stop their antics, and he made the robbers leave. His name was Ali Baba. Ali Baba. He shouted, "Open sesame," the rock just slipped away. He opened up a treasure trove that made him rich that day. He made them stop their antics, then he made the robbers leave. His name was Ali Baba.
Long ago, oh, very long ago, before you were born even, in a distant town there lived two brothers. The older brother, Kasim, was rich and fat and ate with his fingers and never gave to the poor and was an all-around stinker. One of the poor he never gave to was his younger brother, Ali Baba. Ali Baba was a cheerful, kindly soul with a smile always on his lips. That's right, a simpleton. Now, you might wonder how one brother came to be so rich and the other so poor. Well, it all has to do with junk bonds and toy store franchises and lots of other complicated things that really have nothing to do with our story.
Yeah, I'd rather not go into it.
One day, while Ali Baba was out gathering firewood...
Diba? Bandits, thieves, robbers, coming this way! Yikes! Gotta hide!
Of course, Ali Baba really had nothing of value for the thieves to steal. But being a nervous actor in his first starring role, he feared they might try stealing his big scene, and so he quickly hid himself up a tree. Onward rode the 40 thieves. Hey, aren't those the same guys repeating over and over again on the bottom there? Strangely enough, the riders had come to a halt before a sheer wall of rock. Had they lost their way? Were they really geologists, disguised as thieves? Or were they simply crazy?
Aha! None of the above. Ha! This is our hideout. And now for the secret password. Open sesame. That should kill you, stupid rock. I told you it would work. Yo! Carry it in, boys.
I wonder what sort of stuff they've got in those bags. Potatoes, or could be jelly beans, or old socks, maybe.
Not quite.
Close sesame. Right on cue. All right, boys, let's go terrorize some old lady.
So the ruffians rode off, leaving Ali Baba free to investigate the cave himself.
I don't think I better.
Oh, come on, do it.
Oh, well, I suppose. Okay, I'll do it.
That's better.
All right, Rock, open sesame. Hey, it worked. Well, call me flabbergasted.
He crept into the cave and there found something that took his breath away.
Ah, wow. I've never seen so much costume jewelry in my whole life. Just think, we could put on fancy dress, parties, plays, and neat stuff.
Well, as I mentioned before, he was a bit of a simpleton.
Okay, close sesame, I guess.
And so Ali Baba, his empty head filled with visions of glory, rode back to the village. But as he approached his house, a coin fell from the sack right at the feet of his sister-in-law, Mrs. Kasim, who knew at once what it really was.
Gold!
Moments later, at our hero's humble hovel...
Ali Baba, are those?
Yeah, they're chocolate coins, but I can't figure how to get the wrappings off.
You don't think it's real treasure?
Nah, but there's some great old swords and phony jewelry up there. They'll make perfect costumes for my Shakespeare club. Oh, a horse, a kingdom for a horse.
Having no taste for the classics, Mrs. Kasim wasted no time in rushing home to tell her husband the news.
Oh, right.
And so it was that the next morning found Ali Baba's treacherous brother Kasim approaching the thieves' secret cave.
Oh, what was that secret password? Oh, yes, open sesame. Wow, well, I'll be a whirling dervish. What a fabulous display of plundered loot and ill-gotten gains. It makes me tingly. Oops, silly me, I almost forgot. Close sesame. You never know who might walk by. There, now I have some privacy. I can take all the time I want to pick out the juiciest bits of treasure and pack them on my donkeys. To think that that idiot brother of mine thought this was costume jewelry. What a nincompoop. It constantly amazes me that we had the same parents. Maybe he's adopted. That's enough for today. Mustn't be greedy. Plenty of time for the rest of it later. All right, open sashimi. Oh, no, that's not it. That's the name of a sushi bar. Let's see now. I've forgotten their password. It was some kind of seed.
Uh-oh. Little did Kasim know that he was about to have company.
Open caraway. No, open apple seed. No. It's a type of thing that's on the outside of a hamburger bun. What do they call it? It's always getting stuck between your teeth. Open pumpkin seed. No, this is embarrassing. Give me a break, will you? Just open up your stupid door.
As the thieves approached, Kasim continued his verbal assault on the secret door.
Shove it up.
And in language so colorful that our lawyers suggested we might get in trouble if we repeated it on a family program. Meanwhile, time was running out.
Have a heart. Please. Can't you give me a hint at least? Please. I won't be bad. I swear I'll be good. The sucker fell for it.
This is a private hideout, fatso. Boys, show this bum what we do to trespassers.
I know I'm greedy, unscrupulous, and selfish, but deep down I'm good. I mean, as bad as you are.
Your acting's pretty lousy, that's for sure, but it won't work, fatso, because you know too much. We've got to shut you up permanently. I like that. Do it again. I could watch you do that all day. I love the way your eyes go all buggy. But listen, before we do you in, is there anybody else who knows about this hideout,
As the day turned to night and still Kasim had not returned home, his wife became worried. After all, she had an appointment with Hakim, the hairdresser, and if she missed it, it could take months to get another. In any event, she ran to the house of her brother-in-law, Ali Baba, and told him everything.
What? How'd you find out about the kid? Who's the rat that taught you?
It was me, Alibaba. I eavesdropped on you and your wife. Please forgive me, even though I am base and foul and unworthy of your mercy.
You said it, sister.
Alibaba, something terrible might have happened to him. He's your brother. You've got to save him.
Forget it. If you really want to know, I never liked him. He always treats me like a blockhead.
But you are a blockhead, honey cakes.
Faced with his wife's irrefutable logic, Ali Baba had no choice but to go in search of his brother.
Goodbye, dear. Look after the children.
We don't have any children.
Bring back some souvenirs of your trip and a quart of milk if you have time. Oh, and my husband, don't forget him.
Hours passed, as they tend to do, and it wasn't until late in the day that Ali Baba finally returned, bringing with him the sad news that Kasim would never be coming home again.
He took the checkbook with him.
Devastated, the grieving widow consoled herself with dancing, singing, and going to nightclubs. She eventually ran off with a tambourine player named Shuki. Meanwhile, back at the cave, the thieves were telling jokes and playing freeze tag.
That's all the guy says. That's no camel. That's my wife.
Wait a minute. Fatso's brother knows where the cave is, too. Go back into town. Find out where he lives.
And so, early the next morning, despite the fact that they were all feeling a little under the weather from their long night of carousing, the 40 thieves descended on the town in search of Ali Baba. But they found their job somewhat more difficult than they anticipated. You see, Ali Baba had never made much of a name for himself, so most people in town didn't know him from Adam, or Eve for that matter, and the fact that the thieves had disguised themselves as tax collectors from the Infernal Revenue Service tended to make the townspeople even more unhelpful than they might otherwise have been.
We're not really tax collectors, we were just kidding.
No, don't know the guy. Sorry.
Their chief did not take the news sitting down.
What the devil? Are you saying you can't find this Ali Baboon or whatever his name is?
Well, Chief, there is this one guy I heard about who's making a mint off a costume jewelry shop he just opened. Oh, last week he didn't have a penny to his name, and now he's rich. Do you think it could be him?
What do you think, you idiot? Oh, of course it's him. Only he's too stupid to know what he has. The richest hoard of stolen loot in all of Arabia, and he's selling it as costume jewelry. It's an outrage. Did you find out where he lives, or is that too much to ask, you son of a sea cow?
Gee, Chief, I'd really prefer it if you left my family out of this. I found his house, and I marked it with a big white X. You can't miss it. It's a little trick I learned from my secret agent correspondence course.
Excellent, Omar. Good. Saddle up. We ride tonight while the moon is high and the stars are bright.
Oh, really nice, Chief.
Inspired by their chief's pep talk, the 40 thieves emerged from their secret hideout in search of Ali Baba. Once again, they rode down the hill toward the town in an ominous cloud of dust. You notice they seem to spend a lot of their time riding down the hill and up the hill. A thief's life is not all parties and pillaging. There's a lot of monotonous routine and hard work. And there's no dental plan.
Okay, kill the dust cloud. Now, everybody, fan out. Remember, we're looking for the house with the big white X on the front of it.
You mentioned
Quiet.
You be quiet.
Oh, you be quiet.
As their chief waited impatiently, their search took a very odd turn. Strangely enough, every one of the 40 thieves found the house marked with an X. This was not because they were particularly observant or good detectives or anything, but because every single house in the town had mysteriously come to be marked with the symbol eerie, isn't it?
Hot dog, I found it. Oh, yikes! Get away!
I found it.
Put a lid on it. You couldn't all have found it. Does somebody want to explain what's going on here?
I will. Something funny's going on around here.
I found the X.
Bingo. You win.
Aye. Huh?
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, almost eerie. See why we were confused, Chief? As soon as we found out about it, we rushed back here to tell you.
You moron! Why the devil would every door in town have an X marked on it?
Maybe it's some kind of religious holiday like Xmas. Or maybe aliens did it.
Sizzling sandstorm! Now we've got to ride all the way back up that stupid hill with nothing to show for it. We've got to get a secret hiding place that's closer to town.
The poor thieves were completely flummoxed, but there was an explanation for the sudden appearance of all those mysterious X's. You see, the thief who had painted the first X on Ali Baba's door had not gone unobserved. Ali Baba's costume jewelry shop was doing so well that he was a rich man now and had even hired a maid, a bright-eyed, clever young thing named Morigiana, or Hazel for short.
The old X marks the spot trick. I remember that from my secret agent's correspondence course. Chapter 27, if I'm not mistaken.
Realizing at once that the mysterious stranger was up to no good, the plucky young girl got the brilliant idea of repeating the white X on every door in the whole town, thereby defeating the thieves' wicked scheme and making their chief look like the biggest bozo this side of Bombay.
No one makes me look like the biggest bozo this side of Bombay and gets away with it.
The chief, still intent on discovering Ali Baba's whereabouts, thought up a brilliant plan. He would look in the phone book. Sure enough, there he found Ali Baba's address. This plan had the added bonus of being cheap and simple. In fact, so simple that you might wonder why he didn't do it in the first place.
Aha! So this is his house. I could probably just break the door down and grab the little schmo right now. Only that would be far too easy. With my criminal genius, I can come up with a plan that's a lot more wicked and complicated.
And so it was that the next morning found the 40 thieves sitting in 40 jugs, strapped to 40 humps on 40 camels, all part of their chief's wicked and complicated scheme.
Now, you may be in those things for a while, boys, but I don't want to hear any complaining. When I give you the signal, I want you to come jumping out of those jugs as fast as you can. I saw a woman pop out of a cake at a bachelor party once. Worked like a charm.
You got it, boss.
Good, good. The look on that poor slob's face when Trixie came out of that cake. Okay, hit him up and move him out.
And so, once again, the thieves headed back down the hill toward town, only this time without the ominous clouds of dust. The chief wanted the townspeople to think that he was nothing but a lamp oil salesman, traveling alone but for his slow-moving caravan of camels. It wasn't much of a disguise. He hadn't even bothered to shave off his uniquely curly whiskers. Still, they bought it, and before long he was at Ali Baba's house.
Hello. I can see from your smiling face that you're a good simpleton. I mean Samaritan, who might be willing to help a weary traveler. I have come to sell my lamp oil in the market, but my camels and I need lodgings. It's the finest imported oil, I assure you. It should fetch a good price. I'll be able to repay you handsomely.
Sure you can stay. Come right in. Of course, I have to admit. Personally, I think we rely too much on imported oil already. But that's another story. Come in, please. Mi casa es su casa, as they say in Canada.
You're too kind, oh merciful one. May the sands of the desert never get in your food.
So, Ali Baba let him stay, unaware that he was giving aid and comfort to his deadliest enemy.
If it wouldn't be imposing, do you think I might unload my camels and store these jugs somewhere?
No problem. You can use the pantry. Hazel will show you where.
As Hazel looked on, the bearded bozo carried the jugs one by one into the house. You'd think this would be pretty heavy work for a fellow of his years, but fortunately he'd been starving his men for weeks, so they tended to be on the light side. Yeah. When all 40 jugs were at last inside, he surveyed his handiwork and expressed his satisfaction with a triumphant grunt.
All right, boys. Everything's going according to my brilliant plan. Now, remember, sit tight until you get my signal, then you'll leap out of the jugs. Got that?
What was that?
Shh. Oh, you know how we traveling salesmen can be. Sometimes we get so lonely we talk to ourselves, that's all.
Wacko.
I've never seen such a feast.
Not bad for a kid off the streets, huh? I think I've done pretty well for myself.
You have been blessed with great fortune, O bountiful one.
And someday I may even buy myself some chairs.
Meanwhile, the plucky Hazel slaved away in the kitchen, well aware that such menial chores were beneath her. But what could she do? She was a modern woman trapped in a medieval fairy tale.
Darn, there goes that stupid lamp again. I can't wait till they discover electricity. Where am I supposed to get more oil at this time of night? Oh, you can bet nothing's going to be open. Wait a second. I could sneak into the pantry and take a little bit from that lamp oil salesman. It may not be exactly honest, but it sure would be plucky.
And so, the plucky but morally corrupt Hazel stealthily made her way to the pantry.
Is that you, Chief? Is it time? You want us to jump out of these jugs now?
Golly, this one's got somebody in it. I better try another one.
I hope that's the signal. I'm getting asphyxiated. Oh, it's hard to breathe in here.
Hazel instantly realized...
That lamp oil salesman, he's a crook. It's me, all right, but we're not quite ready yet. You boys just sit tight. I'll be back in a minute.
With a frenzy provoked by centuries of oppression at the hands of men, the plucky Hazel strikes a blow for modern womanhood. In fact, several blows. In fact, about 40 blows in all.
We do something wrong, Chief? You sound funny. Your voice is girly. Hey, you're not the...
Hey, what's going
The camels, notoriously lazy and self-centered breed of animal, slept right through the hubbub. Meanwhile, their master, sensing the rest of the household was fast asleep, decided it was time to spring his little surprise on the unsuspecting Ali Baba.
All right, boys, up and at 'em. Ollie, ollie, oxen free. What the... sizzling sandstorms. I'm ruined. And after I promised their parents I'd have them all safely back home in the morning. This is terrible. A disaster. Ooh, a catastrophe. Oh, the worst possible thing. That was a close second. Why are the animators doing this to me? What have I ever done to them? Enough already. What is this, a Tom and Jerry cartoon?
The next morning, Ali Baba listened to Hazel's story with considerable amazement.
I knew those guys were up to no good, so I took the liberty of borrowing a croquet mallet and bashed them all in the noggin.
Hazel, you're magnificent. There's only one way I can think of to repay you for your devotion and bravery. Will you marry me, you plucky young beauty?
It would be impossible, Mr. Baba. Besides the fact that you're married already, I'm looking for someone who's a bit taller and more handsome. And maybe a little less stupid.
Ha-ha, you're playing hard to get, I understand.
Meanwhile, having had time to recover from that embarrassing display, our villain set about hatching a new scheme for snaring Ali Baba. All these grunts on his part did eventually produce a plan of a sort. The next morning, an observant visitor to the town would have noticed that a new street vendor had opened a new stall in the marketplace. He called himself Crazy Habib, and he sold Persian carpets at an unbeatable price.
Gee, baby, you're practically giving them away. No wonder they call you crazy.
In fact, he was giving them away, making himself one of the most popular merchants around. But that was only because the simple townsfolk didn't recognize him for the slimy, thieving, nasty-minded no-goodnik he truly was.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but flattery will get you nowhere, chum.
Hey there, morning, son. How's business?
Lousy, father.
Son, this'll be a cinch.
You mean you really haven't sold a single lamp today, son?
Course not, father. This shop's supposed to be a tax write-off, remember?
Well, you know best, son. Keep up the lousy work. Bye.
This was Hassan, Ali Baba's son, just back from college. But to the wicked thief, he was more than just a bright young man with a master's degree in economics. He was an irresistibly juicy piece of fruit, ripe for the picking. You know what I mean, a patsy, a sucker.
Greetings, number cruncher. Would you honor me by dining in my humble, unworthy dumpy abode?
It wasn't much of an invitation, but Hassan had been living on dormitory food for years, so he gladly accepted. In short order, he was accepting many things from this jolly fellow Habib. Jewelry, car phones, tennis lessons. Hassan was flattered by Habib's attentions, but we know, of course, that the phony carpet seller was just using the gullible young nitwit in order to get at his father. So it was that one day Hassan brought his new friend home for dinner.
Here it is. Isn't much, but we call it mi casa. Crazy Habib, Dad, Crazy Habib.
Glad to make your acquaintance. I had a friend once named Crazy.
Oh, really?
Or it might have been Casey, a short, skinny guy with a great sense of humor. Maybe you know him.
Alas, I don't believe I ever met anybody by that name. But any friend of yours is a friend of mine, oh dim-witted and pear-shaped one.
Right this way. Make yourself at home, Crazy. Mi casa es su casa, as they say in Kentucky. This is your room if you'd like to freshen up. Dinner's at 8, and then we play Scrabble.
You're too kind.
It's really too bad you don't know Casey. You'd like him. Heck of a guy. Wow, you've really outdone yourself, Hazel. You're gonna make some lucky guy a great little wife one day. Hint, hint. Oh, I forgot you're playing hard to get. Go fetch our guest.
Right away.
Sheesh. I'll slice him, and dice him, and barbecue him. I'll roast him and toast him, and Irish stew him.
That beard, those eyes. I'd recognize him anywhere. It's Daddy, after all these years. But what's he doing with that knife? That's not Daddy. It's that stupid old thief again. What on earth could he want? The rat.
Holy city of Mecca, what a spread. I am truly honored. I don't know where to begin.
Dig in anywhere, Crazy. Don't be bashful about using your hands. My brother always did.
Yes, but look what happened to him. I mean, whatever did happen to him.
He was ambushed by thieves.
What a pity.
As he looked over at his unsuspecting host, the evildoer decided the moment had come to strike. But just as he was reaching for his dagger, a veiled figure danced into the room. It was time for the floor show.
Yeah, it's your hideout Madonna.
As Hazel continued her dance, the thief's evil intentions were soon forgotten. Ali Baba fell asleep, and Hassan could have cared less, but the chief was in la-la land over Hazel's dance, till he snapped out of it.
Hold it. Hazel, what did you do to Crazy Habib?
She quickly told them everything, of how Habib was really a thief, of how he'd used Hassan to get at his father, of how she'd been raised by wolves on the prairie.
Hazel, you did it again, you plucky young thing. How can I ever possibly thank you? You deserve so much more than to be a servant girl for the rest of your life. If you won't let me marry you, at least take my son. He's a bit taller than me, but not as good looking.
Hazel agreed, but only on condition that Ali Baba and everyone else, including myself, stop calling her plucky. A law was passed to that effect, and the very next day, Hazel and Hassan were married.
Open sesame.
The newlyweds built themselves a magnificent house paid for with Ali Baba's secret treasure, and they were so grateful that they named their first child after him. But the child didn't turn out very well. In fact, he grew up to be the Ali Baba black sheep of the family. But that, as they say, is another story.